Cavalry? Hey, yo, let's go. We have gone through now an entire KVK or entire MGE cycle where we've added a commander like Veringetorix, okay? And with him, we were going to test out a whole bunch of stuff. And in addition to that, we've also got the release of the RoK Battles tool that has come into play, and it has given us so much freaking data. I'm going to show you guys how this applies to Cavalry. I'm going to show you what we're looking at. We're going to look at the data. We're going to go through the marches. I'm going to give some recommendations on your best 1 March, 2 March, 3 March Cavalry lineups, and we're going to go through that all because Cavalry have new commanders coming out at the end of August or early September, and we are waiting on that, and it is a tough situation for Cavalry right now. So let's get the most out of it. Whatever we got, let's go get the most out of it. Let's go run what we can while we await the new Cavalry, and this is the video that's going to show you everything about Cavalry with the data and the new commanders and all the things we've gotten right now. Hey everybody, it's your boy War Daddy Chadsky, and I do videos for Rise of Kingdoms all the time. If you enjoy these videos, throw a like on there. And if you have not subscribed, consider subscribing. Doesn't cost anybody anything. Also, you can hit that bell if you want to get alerts when I do content like this. And we are in the middle of our $10 giveaway. It is our video giveaway that we do. We do $10 a flux every single video, like it or not. It's what I do. Love doing giveaways and love getting the interaction. Helps out the channel, helps out the videos when I have that interaction. So all you have to do to enter to win is comment down below in the comment section. You can comment anything you want. I go through and randomly pick a comment to feature in the next video. So basically what I'm gonna do is if you write a comment down there in this video, the next video, I'm gonna choose one of those comments to give away the $10 flex. So from our previous video, I'll have a card in the top. I got this from Lakotis. Let's go. This actually talked about the promotion of the RoK Battles application that we have been using all week. It's brand new. It's just come out. I'm going to show people how to use that in this video, but this comes from Lakotis. Children's psychology says you have to tell a child something 100,000 times for that to sink in. Chatsky is halfway there in regard to Attila. Hey, yo, that's one of the things that came out of that video is that Attila Achilles is absolutely off the charts. But from there, let's go into this. Lakotis, you win the $10 flex, buddy. Hit me up on Discord. And if you want to enter to win for next video, all you got to do is comment down below. And like I said, helps out the channel. It's great. Interaction's great. Plus, I love getting down there and throwing the comments with you. Well, this is Cavalry, baby. Gang, Arthur, Attila, Achilles, Huo, David, Nevsky, Joan, and then we've got to makeshift our cavalry with leadership, right? Now using Veringetorix. How did that do? Let's go through the reports. I've got all the receipts on that. What about Hector? Is that still best with Arthur? Is that working out pretty well? People still running Philip. Rightfully so. Philip still got a great buff in the game. And one thing we have found out, especially with the application of Cavalry, is Veringetorix 100% skip. You don't have to jack with this guy. Okay, I'll go through the reports and I'll go through the data about how Versi works, but 100% skip. Okay, you don't have to mess with this. If you're wanting to use him for Cavalry, he is fitting much better with infantry. All right. And so from there, how do we reconcile this, right? How do we say, okay, with the new data that we've got from RoK Battles, with the new commander and Veringetorix, how do we get where we need to get? What are some sleeper marches? And so when you come into the RoK Battles, website, okay, when you come into this thing, you got an opportunity to kind of go through this thing as I'm logged in here. And if you use the app and you have your account tied to this, really easy, it's free. You can go through your own battle reports. You can go through your own pairings, your own logs. It goes through all this stuff. They even have a loot section here. They got a resource section here. They've got arc matches here. They've got all kinds of different stuff when it comes to what it provides you personally. But one of the best things that it does is it collects data from all these different people. All right. They're running up the users like thousands now, or up to 1,000, which include reports coming from over 260,000 different governors. Okay, and it comes with millions and millions of reports, and it's socially driven. It's being uploaded every day. So the whole tool and application is getting stronger every day. It's getting a bigger sample size for all the marches every single day. And it has these combat combat labs. Now, this is really good. They do a drastic breakdown. Now, this comes from RoK Battles, where they do a drastic breakdown and they do rankings based on damage, rage cycle, assist, that's your support, sustainability, trade efficiency, and consistency, okay? And you can do it for any marches that you want, all right? And it gives you this data down below, all right? And so you can see right here the data it's got on Gang Gang and Achilles. It's got nearly 500,000 battles. All right, 500,000 battles. It gives you the kill points. It gives you the opponent's kill points. Is that right? Gang Gang and Achilles? Yeah. And then it gives you your average trade percentage, which is not very important, but your weighted trade percentage is the actual performance of the march. All right. And then something I look at really, really closely is damage per second. This is DPS. Okay. And so from there, we're going to apply that to how we work out. So I got all this data. Okay. Greg Var really helped me out. He runs RoK Battles. Of course, Daver's super involved with that. And then they've got a relationship, obviously, with AQHQ and Dom and those guys as well. And so from there, we look at this thing and we say, okay, how are we going to do this thing? How are we going to pull this? So I took all this data and I basically went and did a dashboard myself. Okay. And here's what I came up with on this little dashboard here. Pretty easy. You guys know how to do this with AI and stuff. But from there, we go into the pairing. So basically, I wanted to get a list of how all these marches compare with one another. All right. And you have kind of an overall ranking over here based on that drastic score. That's not what I'm worried about. Okay. The overall ranking, the damage, the rage, the assist, sustain, trade, and consistency. These are all rankings that they give them in RoK Battles. I'm worried about average trade, but most importantly, I'm worried about the WTD trade. This is the weighted average trade. This is the actual trade based on all the sevs all the kill points that you get versus all the kill points that the march takes. This is what you get. And if I sort this like this, okay, you're going to see Siege at the top, of course. I wish I could just always take Siege out. But then you're also going to see Chen YSG. And the first cavalry commander, cavalry march you're going to see is Attila Achilles. I talked about this in my previous video. For me, it's the best march in the game. It's fantastic. I've been telling people to run it. Well, now the data backs it up. So let me sort this by cavalry because that's what we're talking about. And we're going to look at this thing and how this thing works overall. Okay. Attila Achilles, sorted by cavalry, has the best trading average. And it's like by far. Okay, nearly 20% better than anything else. All right, Achilles and Gang Gang right there as well. Well, you can click on this right here, and it gives you the combat lab. Okay, and this is the combat lab for Attila and Achilles. And one of the things that's really interesting when it comes to this, obviously, you've got the weighted trade percentage, which is very, very important. But I wanted to see what we're looking at with the DPS. And the DPS on this march is off the freaking charts, guys. And let me tell you why. People are trying to kind of figure out, okay, Chatsky, how does this work? Why does this march work? And the reason why is because the minute you start hitting people, you can start getting hit yourself and getting swarmed. And this thing kicks out so much freaking damage. Okay. And it's like, well, Chatsky, why do I want to march that's just going to get hit and get swarmed? Okay. It's just going to get killed. However, with all the different things that Attila does and is all damage that he does, and you also add in the Palian Spear, and you can fire off more triggers of the Palian Spear from Achilles, okay? It kicks back so much damage that it just ramps up the DPS 599. That's like off the charts, guys. And I'll show it compared to some of these other marches because that's very important to me and it needs to be very important to all of you. So when you go through this, you see that Attila and Achilles all at the top, right? Absolutely at the top. Best cavalry march you can run. Chadsky, I can run Attila Achilles, or I can run any cavalry march I want. What do you recommend? Attila Achilles, 100%. Now, here's the other part of this that people have to understand. Over half of the reports that are sitting here in Attila Achilles are run with Delta formation. Oh, I'm sorry. Over half of the reports are run with Arch formation. But this is what's important, okay? The formations that it's telling you. People are running this with Delta. Now, it's broken with Arch, like I've told you. I've said this till the hilt. I've said it over and over and over. But almost as many people are running this with Delta, and that's the trade percentage that you're getting, the weighted trade percentage and people are running this with Delta. What? So people who say, Chatsky, I ran that, it sucks, it's not very good. Well, you're doing it wrong, bro. Because the vast majority of people playing and the sample size of this is so big that you can't ignore the fact that it trades at the highest level for any Cav March. Okay? So you can run it with Arch, you can run it with Delta, and you're going to get this. If this was 100% Arch, where everybody ran this with Arch, and they had the equivalent of the rares and special inscriptions for Arch, this number right here would be like 170%. Because Arch is that much more powerful. Maybe not 100%, maybe like 150. And if it was exclusively run with Delta, this thing would probably still say 115, 118%. Okay, and people try to understand this when it comes to Arch and Delta. All right, Delta's great. All right, it's the weakest of the Pincer Delta Wedge 2.0 three traditional setups, right? It needs an upgrade. And it'll get one eventually, although not before Pincer 2.0. It needs an upgrade to the special inscriptions when it comes to like Wedge, giving Wedge 2.0 special and rare inscriptions. Same thing with Pincer that's getting ready to come out next month. It needs an upgrade. However, even with the quote-unquote scuffed armaments in Delta, you can put that on Attila. He prefers Arch. Okay, because he runs up the normal damage so high, all right? He runs up the normal damage so high that you're in a situation to where you want to run it up and boost that with Arch, okay? You get 3.5% boost to Arch, you get 8% boost to Arch, and so from there, all that does is enhance the combo damage that whoever sits behind Attila. But you can run that with Delta just fine. Go run it with Delta. And then you're exclusively saying, Achilles, you're doing the majority of damage. Okay, we're not really boosting the normal damage, but it still does really, really well. So that's one of the things that you guys got to understand when it comes to running the Attila Achilles, okay? Enough about that. Enough about the Attila simping, okay? We come down in here and we've also got Achilles Gang. Okay, the classic argument we've got when it comes to these two marches is, you know, hey, Chatsky, which one's better, Gang primary or Achilles primary? Well, based on the numbers, all right, running Achilles primary, and I've always said this, Achilles primary is going to give you more DPS. Okay, Gang primary is going to help you sustain longer. And the reason why is because the healing that Gang does, okay, is based on the combo attack damage. It recovers from the secondary commander. So if Gang is sitting behind Achilles, it doesn't do as much healing because overall it doesn't do as much combo damage as Achilles and his AoE combo damage. When you put him behind Gang and you do the healing based off the second commander, it sustains a little bit better. And you can see it here in the scores and you can see it here in the data, okay? But overall, it gives you a trade of 114%, okay? Pretty good. Not as high as some of the Chin trades or the Sun Tzu trades, but it's pretty good. All right. Compared to the opposite end where it gives you 110. Now, it's not that much better running the Achilles first, but it is definitely a slight bit better with a large sample size. And let me show you here on the Achilles Gang match. You remember when I showed that 500 plus per second DPS that Attila and Achilles did? This has got 346 DPS. Okay, not near as high as Attila Achilles. All right, so it is still pretty good. And if you say that 346 compared to the Gang primary, that's going to have 370. Okay, now one of the things about the Gang primary that's crazy, it's weird how that kind of works out, is that Gang is going to do that damage right off the bat with a single target, and then Achilles is going to back it up with more damage. But that kind of gives you the idea of how these marches kind of play out, okay? And so let me pull these down, and we'll go from there. You've also got Achilles Veringetorix. Okay, this is fine, and this has proved to be a really good march. All right, you scroll down here, and it's actually got a higher DPS setup than the Gang Achilles and the Achilles Gang, which is good. I love that. And it's got a pretty good weighted average, obviously, on the trades. The only problem with this, all right, and when you're looking at your marches overall, you see the one common denominator in the top 4 best marches, right? And it's Achilles. You're not going to run Achilles primary with Veringetorix if you've got Attila lying around. You're not going to run Achilles primary with Veringetorix if you've got Gang lying around. And something to consider, you see the Arthur Achilles down here? All right, that's trading about even that we've seen. Okay, the reason why I like this is because of the DPS. Let me show. I've always said this when it comes to Arthur and Achilles. When it comes to Arthur and Achilles, it's more glass cannon-y, but it does have good synergies because Arthur does big 3-target AoE combo damage as a primary commander. And then obviously you back that up with big AoE damage. However, as far as the trades go, it doesn't sustain nearly as long. Okay, and so when you come in here and you look at this and you're trying to compare this thing, it's one of those things you have to consider when it comes to this. Now, the score that they give for like an Arthur Achilles on the sustain is a 7.5. Okay, where an Achilles Gang is a 10. A Gang Achilles is a 10. So it doesn't have near the sustain of an Achilles Gang. However, let's look at the DPS. We had talked about this with Achilles Gang. You're running the DPS to 346. Okay, we talked about it with Gang Achilles. You're running the DPS to 370 per second. Okay, and so from there, let me pull this down. From there, we're going to talk about Arthur with Achilles, and look what it does to the DPS. 458. 458, literally 25-30% higher in DPS. Okay, and so that's why I like this march. You got to be really good in the field to run it. You got to be really good in the field to go do it, the Arthur Achilles. And I think that march is eventually going to change when we get new Cav commanders, but that's something you got to consider. Okay, what are some other things we need to consider? Hey, yo, Joan Arthur with Wedge 2.0 on Joan. We're collecting a ton of data now. Look what this thing is doing. Trading positive, let's go. Look at the damage per second. Don't sleep on the Wedge 2.0 Joan Arthur, y'all. Or, I'm sorry, Joan Achilles. I'm sorry, Joan Arthur. You get these things so mixed up. Attila, Achilles, and Arthur. They all start with an A. But the Joan Arthur running up so much DPS. 414. That's like high, guys. Very high. And you're getting a weighted average trade of 12%. All right. I think this is going to be a pretty good march. It's the best skill damage march you can run for cavalry, and it's still okay to run today. All right. I don't necessarily recommend going to invest in Wedge 2.0, but if you've already got like a hunter, if you've already got Wedge 1.0, all right, and you want to run this, or you've already converted some of these things over to Wedge 2.0. And I think I've got some of these are still my old Wedge things I've got going on. But if you've got some of these on these specials and rares on Wedge 1.0, I would not recommend shading over to Wedge 2.0. But if you've already got these and you're running a Joan with Arthur, hey, yo, Joan Arthur, go cook, man. So that kind of gives you some qualifications there on the data. Okay. And so it's really kind of simple when you look at all this. You've also got some outliers. Arthur Gang. There's two more marches I want to look at. Arthur Gang was something that was really interesting. All right. Because somebody told me to run this when I run Attila and Achilles. Okay. Achilles. And this is what we found where it trades just below even, does about 400 damage per second, but it gives you a formidable march as a second cavalry march. Okay. Well, I can take this data, and I think some of my weighted stuff I've got over here, it's about right on, 94.6. Okay, so Arthur with Gang is a viable option to run. All right, we just need another Cav freaking combo damage commander. We're waiting for it. We just got to have it. But look here. Now, this is interesting in the sense that I used to run Huo with Belisarius Prime all the time, okay? And it actually doesn't do awful. Got a lot of damage per second, even though it's single target. Hey, yo. Plus, it puts down that 12% all damage debuff. Like, let's go. You can see this. It's all almost exclusively wedge formation. But this is really, really good, okay? And so from there, the damage per second ranks up. So you've got some other options when it comes to wedge skill damage cavalry commanders. Okay, so what do we do now? Now that we've got all this data, and then of course here, the last thing I wanted to say about Veringetorix is that we thought the application with Arthur Pendragon would be really good, but it turns out it's not. It's not really trading that great, all right? When you compare it to like what Arthur Hector's doing, it's like almost the exact same. Arthur Hector and Arthur Versi. Okay, so that's what I was saying at the beginning of the video, saying you don't have to invest in Versi at all if you're looking to put him over with Cavalry. All right, the theory on Arthur and Versi works out really, really well when you actually put their skills combined. Okay, Veringetorix does some weird stuff when it comes to dropping the target's rage. You get different buffs, and of course Arthur does a rage. Where is it at? Arthur does a rage reduction, which that works. Plus, Veringetorix has some things that go on with instant procs. Okay, when he does instant procs, it really helps out buffing other things, throwing up other shields, putting stacks on. And Arthur is great with instant procs because he does more combo damage and triggers it more often, that fires off more instant procs. So that theory is a theory, and the reality is that it doesn't work near as well. Now, it makes Arthur tankier, definitely tankier. Okay, when you look at the sustain, it makes it really, really good. However, you get the same type of sustain out of Hector. When you look at the Hector combination, you're doing less damage per second, all right? But you're able to actually get a little bit of sustain. And so from there, that's how this thing works when it comes to Arthur. If you're running Arthur Hector, just keep running it. Don't change that. Wait till the next calves come out. Okay, so with that, let's go through this and let's talk about the marches. All right, what do we want to run? If I'm running just one march, Cavalry March Guide, best march. All right, that's simple. It is this guy. It has been proven. Now it's been, the data shows, it's been verified, it's been validated, and I feel justified because I've been telling people this since Achilles came out. Best march in the game, well, for me anyways, is Attila Achilles. It's a perfect march. And so if I had all things, if I could just pick any commander I want, any formation I want, any gear I want, but I can only choose one cavalry march, that's the one I'm going with. And I'm going to run it with Arch, and I'm going to run up the damage, and we're going to get after it, okay? So that's it. Now, people can argue with this. Chatsky, I tried to run it. It didn't run very well. Well, then you're doing it wrong, bro, because you literally can't argue with the data. You can't, I mean, you just can't. There's so much to this data, so many battles, 100,000 battles. I mean, it's a lot of data, bro. And so from there, that's what I've got with the Attila Achilles, okay? The second best march is your Achilles Gang Gang. You can say Gang Gang Achilles, Achilles Gang Gang, however you want to do it, all right? That's an easy march. Both those commanders are going to be in the game for a while. You can go get those two commanders, and it's going to go cook. The hard part for the Attila is that people are still skeptical about investing in Attila in 2026, okay? But if they're giving us big combo damage cavalry coming, Attila's not going anywhere, guys. That's just the way it is. He's not going anywhere. He's the greatest amplifier of big damage put behind him of anybody in the game. It's just crazy what he's able to do. Arthur Achilles, second or a third. And I could put second, even though it doesn't trade on the weighted average quite as much as Achilles and Gang Gang. But I put third, and I could put it second because it just does more DPS. It does more damage per second. And I like that damage, and I like to roll that thing off, okay? Achilles Veringetorix, I put as the fourth best march, all right? I think that thing is pretty good, but why would you get Versi to run with Achilles when you could run Achilles with Arthur and Gang Gang and Attila? It just doesn't make any sense. The fifth, I would say, is going to come into your skill damage marches. Joan with Arthur. I like that. And then, yeah, Huo Arthur, Belly Art, or Huo Arthur and Huo Belly. Those aren't bad. And then you've got other options here. You've got your, let's see, where is my Arthur with Hector? I don't even know if I have him on here. Hold on one sec. Let's add him when it comes to Arthur and Hector. Okay. Let's see. We'll put him in here. You could run him somewhere in here, even here a little bit. Arthur Hector's in this mix as well. You could also have Attila Philip. Okay, that's one that people can run. I don't recommend the Arthur with Veringetorix. Okay, and so that's how you could do this. Those are your best marches, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Okay, if you just had one march to pick, that's what I'd go with. Okay, let's go to 2 marches. All right, here's the setup I've got on 2 marches. All right, if I had all things considered. Now, guys, there are different variations of this, and it goes on your play style. It goes on what you have. It goes on how you feel and what you feel is good. But this is my recommendation. I've run Cavalry. I got more kill points on Cavalry than just about anybody in the game. Okay, and so if I have 2 marches that I can go run, I mentioned that Arthur Gang because, number one, I'm an Attila simp. And because I love the march so much, I would run the best cavalry march I could run. And then I would run the second best cavalry march I could run that didn't include these 2 commanders. And that's Arthur with Gang. Okay, we talked about Arthur Gang. It's getting more and more sampled. More and more people are liking it. I can see that number of the weighted trade going up and up and up as more people put that into the RoK Battles. But that's what I would run. And that's what I'm going to run when I run 2 cavalry, okay? Now, if I have other picks of the next best, it's going to be that Achilles Gang pairing and then Arthur with Versi, okay? I would actually rather go with this, Arthur with Hector, Arthur with Versi. Those are 2 pretty interchangeable, all right? You saw what they did. Versi technically is a little bit better than Hector, but overall, not worth investing in, all right? Also, you have some other options in there when it comes to Arthur, okay? You've got some Arthur Phillip kind of options in there when you take this. Let me add some Arthur Phillip stuff in here as well. Where is it? There it is. And so you've got some Arthur Phillip stuff that you could run in there as a good second or third option of your 2 march setup. And that's strictly for the buffing of Phillip, but we'll just leave it there. And then you've got Attila Achilles that you could run, leave Gang off the field and go run the Arthur with Versi, Arthur with Hector, Arthur with Phillip, however you want to do that. Okay, and then you've got some other examples down here if you start introducing the skill damage commanders. If you go Achilles and Gang, then you can go Joan with Arthur, you can go Huo with Arthur, you can go Nevsky with Arthur, you can go Joan Phillip, hey yo, Joan Phillip, and then you can go Huo with Belly. But I would strongly recommend to put Arthur in there if you're going to run skill damage as a 2 march setup, okay? Best 2 marches, these 2 take the cake. From there, Achilles and Gang and one of these 2. Pretty easy, all right? And then from there, you've got Attila and Achilles here, and then you can just fill in the rest of it from there. You're trying to just get the best. And like I said, guys, leadership commander. Like, we're desperately needing combo commanders for cavalry, and they're coming. So the cavalry's coming, all right? If I'm going with a 3 march lineup, this is what I'm going to run, okay? I'm going to run Achilles with Gang, okay? And so in addition to that, I'm going to run Arthur with Hector, and I'll give you the reason why. It's because I think this is the 3 best march lineup that you could run. Now, Attila David doesn't trade near as well as Achilles with Gang, okay? It trades pretty good, but Arthur with Hector trades pretty good. The reason why the data doesn't show this, and this is what people need to understand when it comes to RoK Battles. Let's go look at that, all right? So when we have that and you go into the combat lab and you're actually picking, where's my guy? Attila and David. You guys got to understand something. This march is going to be skewed, all right? Now, here's what it does in the field at a 79% weighted average. Of course, and you've got the data here that I put together where it's way down here in, what is this, 12th place? But remember this, okay? And remember this for the RoK Battles, all right? This is a garrison pairing. Attila David is a garrison pairing. Okay, so it's going in and out of flags, and people are running that as a garrison. And when it does, it trades awful. If it gets hit on its way inside of a flag, Attila helps a little bit with the counterattack, but it's going to trade collectively awful. If you're hard defending a flag, and let me just show you this kind of for how this thing works. If you're hard defending a flag like this, and you see my Attila and David are in there, all right? So let me see here. and you're hard defending it, and my Attila's coming home, and now I'm going to run my Attila back into that flag, it's going to get hit on the way. So it's going to skew the numbers when it comes to the actual performance on the weighted trade, or on the weighted trade percentage, okay? And that's why for the 3 combo set, or the 3 March setup, I love using Attila David because his trades are better than you think. Plus, when you use David, and the reason why David is very, very important, okay? When you use David, he puts a combo damage debuff on the target. So it's almost like you go all in on combo if you're running 3 marches and you want to run David in the field. So when you go all in on combo, where the target takes 40% more combo damage, then you want to run Hector with Arthur. Don't run Veringetorix, okay? You want to run Achilles with Gang Gang. So you got 3 combo marches, and you got 5 combo commanders in here putting big damage on the target. Works beautifully. This is what I run all the time. Okay, if I had a second pairing or a second 3 March setup that I wanted to do, I would go right here. I'd go back to that 2 March pairing I love, and then I would add like a Huo Belly or a Huo Joan. That's how I would do that. Okay, and so I ran this last KVK. All right, against 2359 in my main, and I had a wedge 2.0, and it actually did pretty good. All right, I wouldn't invest in it, but that's what I ran last KVK, and it worked out okay. And then you could also use Belly if you wanted to. Love Belly. I freaking love Belly. See, he's not usable today. He's not going to be one of the better marches you can have, and he's not usable in the sense that he's meta, but his 12% all damage the target takes debuff. I mean, that thing has just always been so good. My third option would be Achilles Gang Gang. Okay, Arthur with Versi, or you could run Hector there, and then the Huo with Joan. You leave Attila on the bench. All right, you could run that pretty easy. A lot of people have that in a 3 March setup where they've got an extra wedge set for their cavalry skill damage march, and then of course you could put Belisarius with Huo. All right, helps out everybody. 4th setup, pretty standard, kind of older setup. For the Arthur, you put Philip with Arthur. You run Achilles with Gang Gang, and then you run that Huo and that Huo Joan and Huo Belly. You could run either one of those, however you wanted to do it. Then the 5th option, if you're a psychopath and you want to put Versi behind Achilles, I guess you could, and you could introduce that. I'm not even going to go through that for anybody, but that kind of gives you an idea. Here's what I think are the best single cavalry marches. This is backed up by data from RoK Battles. Here's what we got for the 2 marches. This is backed up by RoK Battles. And here's what we got for the 3 marches. And again, backed up with data. Okay, I didn't just pick the best trading marches. I applied my own theory to this. I applied my own thoughts and processes to this. I'm running David in the field, makes him uber important when you're running a bunch of combo. Imagine what this march is going to do when you can take Hector out and put in an ass kicker new cavalry AoE commander. Oh, man. Cannot wait for it. So, if you got anything out of this video, guys, I know it's long-winded, and I wanted to go through a lot of this stuff when it came to the different reports and such, but if you've got any kind of questions, throw them down in the bottom. Okay, as we go through this, we're going to do all kinds of interacting. Go to my Discord. The link is down in the description. Like the video, helps out a lot. If you comment down below with any question, I'll be down there answering questions and helping everybody. But you also get entered to win that $10 flux. So with all that being said, y'all have a great day, broskies.